overwhelm, frustration, and other lies we all tell. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Day 693 of What's She Up To Now. She, being Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, documenting the journey and talking about my transition, my journey from the offline brick and mortar corporate world to the online world of business, and how it's different, how it's the same, how I'm doing. My original intent was I just wanted something to do as I was moving out of the offline world, the traditional businesses in lots of different industries, and over a quarter century in corporate America, primarily in engineering and quality, and actually mostly in management, mostly in leading departments and leading people, and a lot of times in the area of quality, because I love to stick my nose in everybody's business and everybody's processes, and quality at the executive level allowed me to do that. It allowed me to look at and get everybody working together, as well as looking at internally everybody's processes and how they could do the best job they could possibly do in their area, and then with one another to make sure that the whole created what we wanted to for the people that we were serving. At least that was my intention with quality, and that's how I liked it. But as I'm transitioning to the online world, and frustration, overwhelm, and other lies we tell. Now, we don't just tell these lies to other people. We're all busy. We are busy. We really are busy. But are we busy because we need to be busy, or are we busy because we're not setting priorities, or are we busy because there's so much stuff bombarding us every single day? Are we overwhelmed because we're taking on too much? We're not setting priorities. We're not saying no to the things we shouldn't do. Are we frustrated because we're expecting things to be different than they are? One of the most empowering things I personally figured out, I remember it pretty vividly. I was working not on my Italian food manufacturing business, and I was frustrated almost every day at how long every task was taking. Now, I am a nerdy engineer with a quality and industrial engineering, mechanical engineering background and education. So I did like things in college, time and motion studies, right? Time and motion studies, studying how long it takes and how long it should take people to do different things, different tasks, when you break it down and when you find the best, most efficient way of doing things. So I have always had this knack for looking at a process, looking at a task, and then figuring out how to do that task in the quickest, easiest, simplest, most effective way possible. One of my first jobs while I was in college still was working at a pilot plant for 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, and they had a machine there called a staking machine, and everyone hated doing this machine. It was like the dreaded staking machine, and for some reason, some bright-eyed, silly college kid who was there for the summer, I looked at that machine, and within about, half an hour, I had figured out how to run that machine so easily that I produced in one shift more than anyone else had ever produced in like a week or two of running that machine. And of course I got called into the pilot plant manager's office to say, how did you do this? What did you do? He had the assistant manager looking at the quality of all of the things that I had done, these little staking things, to make sure that they were done right and properly and there weren't any defects in there. Which of course there weren't, because I had analyzed the process, looked at it, figured out how to run this machine, and it was super easy and super fast. And so I could actually go faster and prep what needed to be done on this machine and set it up ahead. So once a week I would run that machine, and I would sit and read books while I ran that machine. It was pretty funny. People were horrified. I learned a lot about business and expectations and processes in that one experience. I learned a lot about peer pressure and what does and doesn't work, which really helped me in my college management classes and leadership classes. It was kind of an all-around interesting experience, both positive and negative, because peer pressure can be negative sometimes too, right? But instead of getting beat down by peer pressure, I use it as a way to say, hey, you guys hate running this machine. I'll run it once a week and we'll have all of the parts that we need for this, and nobody else has to do it. And then before I leave for the summer, I'll teach somebody else how to do it and sit and read books while they do this machine, because it's that easy. But do we get frustrated because we expect things to be different than they are? Do we feel overwhelmed because we're just saying yes to everything and we're taking on too much? Been there, done that, especially when my kids were littler, when my kids were young and I was working in corporate America and having a side business, actually more than one, married and running around with all the kids' activities. It was definite overwhelm. And was it overwhelmed because I needed to be overwhelmed, or was it overwhelmed because I was not setting priorities and boundaries? I know now that it was because I personally was not setting boundaries, taking care of myself, and saying yes to the things that were really important and high priority, and letting go of the things that weren't as important. Hindsight's always 20/20. Gotta love that. As we get older, we get so much smarter. Usually, right? We usually get smarter because we say and we analyze and we learn the lessons that we've needed to learn along the way. But the older I get as well, I realize that being frustrated was one of the biggest wastes of time on the planet. Number one, it didn't feel good. It hurt me. It gave me more stress. It made me feel bad. It made me not take care of myself. And being frustrated was just, and this is what saved me, was me defining and understanding one day that frustration was all about me. The other people around me, they weren't frustrated at all. They weren't frustrated. They weren't upset. They weren't stressing out about it. You know why? It wasn't their business. They were there to do a job. They were there doing their job. They were doing the job at the pace that felt right to them. And I was judging that it wasn't the right pace, right? I was judging. Who was judging? I was judging. I was the one creating all of this overwhelm, all this stress, all this doubt, all this worry, all this fear inside of myself, and then it was leaking out into my environment. Guess what? When you're super frustrated and putting out negative vibes and negative energy, how well are the people around you feeling? Not awesome, right? So one day I caught myself upset and frustrated, and I'm like, oh my God, this is leaking out and causing everybody else to get frustrated and upset too. Why do I want to do that? I don't. And then I realized that frustration is simply expecting what is to be different than it is right now, right? Can anything be different than it is in this very instant? Absolutely not. Everything just is what it is. Doesn't mean it isn't going to be different 5 minutes from now. Doesn't mean it might not be different in the next instant. But right this very instant, if I'm judging how something is and I'm saying, that's not right, is the thing not right or wrong, or is it just me judging it? And is my judgment of anything 100% accurate? Well, it's 100% accurate for me, but it might not be accurate for anyone else on the planet, but it's accurate for me. So it's important, because we need to survive, that we judge and we evaluate and we analyze things. But there's a difference between evaluating and analyzing things and then judging them as being right or wrong. And the only way we should ever judge anything is it right or wrong for us? Not for our kids, not for our significant other, not for the people we work with. Is it right or wrong for us? And then the only way to know if it's right or wrong for other people is to ask them, right? Because everybody has to judge for themselves what's right for them and what's wrong for them. That's our personal responsibility. So overwhelm, judgment, overwhelm, frustration, ego, all these lies that we tell ourselves that we have to do. The word should and try and hope, there's certain words I think should be removed from the English language based on how I have defined them, right? Other people define the word hope or try or judge in the way that feels right for them. And so maybe they don't have any negative connotations or any feelings of when they hear any of those words. I, on the other hand, do. When I hear the word try, it makes me cringe, because I know that there's a difference between trying something and commitment. I might try a new food or a dessert or a new recipe, and I don't care what the outcome is. If I'm just trying something, if it doesn't work, I don't care. I've just tried it. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to do it again. Other things we need to actually be committed to. If I'm going to try to have a relationship, what's the probability of that relationship turning out? We get out of everything what we put into it. If I'm just trying, I'm not putting very much of myself into it, so I can't expect incredible results. If I'm committed to something, if I'm all in, somehow or other, I'm going to get the result I want out of that thing. Whether it's a relationship, a business, a health regimen, a new habit, whatever it is a huge difference between trying, dabbling, committing, being all in. And again, you get to decide what is the right level of participation for you. So that's my rant about the lies we tell ourselves. And here's the deal. Most of these lies we tell ourselves. And it doesn't matter what we tell other people. What matters is what we're telling ourselves. And a lot of these things we're telling ourselves over and over and over again at a subconscious level. Telling yourself the wrong message can kill you. I'm here to tell you that saying the wrong thing to yourself can actually kill you. And I know this from firsthand experience. I was in a situation where I told myself every day for over a month, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to handle this. This is too much. And after about a month and a week of that, I actually had a sudden cardiac arrest and died. And at the time, did I know it's because that was what I was telling myself every day, hundreds of times a day, feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, freaked out, judgmental, like I couldn't handle anymore. I couldn't take one more thing in my little red wagon. Wasn't until after I didn't die from that event, and I'm here talking to you today, that I went back and I looked at and realized that I was doing that. I was doing that. I was in a complete state of absolute massive internal, nobody knew on the outside, but on the inside, I don't even think people knew on the outside how freaked out I was, but on the inside, I was 100% maxed out, freaked out, and having an internal breakdown. And everything looked hunky-dory and fine on the outside, with the exception of a couple of things that I was dealing with, but for the most part, on the inside, was like a massive explosion. And those kind of things can actually kill you, and most people aren't lucky enough to be here today to still come back from that. What else is going on? What am I going on? Let's talk about what's she up to now. Day 84 of the BP challenge, which is a blood pressure challenge, talking about process continuous improvement and how you know when to look at your process or if you need to improve or change your process. Gilding the lily was the topic for Supersize Your Business. You know, spoiling something that's already beautiful by adding more or excess to it. That was a kind of a fun topic. Don't think I've ever said gild the lily until today, but it is fun for me to go back and look at expressions that I can see so many examples of in my life and how it's impacted me, even though I've never actually used those expressions or that particular word or phrase before. I've heard it and I've read it. It's from William Shakespeare's King James, play King James. So I've read it, but I didn't even realize what an impact it's had on me and the people around me. Working on a challenge, the Field of Favor challenge. Yesterday was day 7. Trying to decide how I'm going to unpack that and what I want to do with that. If I want to join the program, because of course there's an offer and it's a great program, or if again, I want to devote the time and energy and resources to do that. Am I committed to doing that? Or is it not the right time for me to do that and take advantage of that? And do I need it? The first question I always ask myself is, when I'm looking at a new product or training or service or things nowadays, it's like, do I need this? Is it the next thing I need? And it's not even, do I need this or want it? I 100% want to do it. Is it the next thing I need for where I'm going with my life and my direction and my goals and objectives? And if the answer is yes, then it's an automatic yes, I do it. If the answer is kind of wishy-washy, and obviously since I haven't said yes yet, got till Monday, I am wishy-washy on it. I am doing my positive and negative decision making on it still, and writing out and brainstorming which direction to go or which decision I want to make on this. Normally don't take this long on decisions, but my amazing little granddaughter's been sick all week, so I'm hanging with her and I'm not paying attention to things like this in the order that I would. So normally I would have looked at this, spent about 10 minutes researching max, tops, and just said yes or no. But since I haven't gotten my 10 minutes yet, I haven't said yes or no. I will, of course, let you know what I decide, because I let you know everything. Right? So if I can help you in any way, hit me up in the comments below. Voxer me. Voxer, you guys, what a great tool. So cool. Such a cool tool. Especially for someone who's visually challenged. It is an amazing tool because I don't have to text. I don't have to type. I don't have to break out the magnifying glasses and then have somebody proofread everything that I've done. So it just speeds up my ability to be effective and communicate. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Also, I don't have to read a bunch of stuff. I don't have to get a whole ton of backstory. You can push a button Tell me in a, a couple of seconds or a minute what it is that you need help with or what your question is, and then I can boom, push a button and answer it immediately. Love it. It's kind of one of my little secret weapons. I know I try to bring it up every once in a while so that you know, but Jesus, boxer me, message me, contact me. I am easy to find. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, Pajama Grandma. I don't think there's another Sharon Horne with an E hyphen Ellstrom out there. I'm gonna have to Google search that now because it's bugging me. I'm gonna wonder. I don't know. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's more than one of me. We like to think that there's only one of us, right? All right. Have an absolutely incredible and amazing day, and I'll of course be with you tomorrow.